out how to...
Bottom of the thing. Yep, there it is.
Hi, my name's Joel Morghese. I'm the Director of Operations for DNA, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our Paperless HR webcast. Normally we have Angela hosting these events, but she's unable to make it today, if you were expecting her. Our presenter today is Ryan Watson. He's a field sales engineer with Sage, and he's going to introduce you to Sage HRMS if you haven't had an opportunity to find out what it is, and then he's going to present a paperless HR solution. Just one thing before I hand it over to Ryan. Since we're recording this webcast, we're going to mute everybody so that we can get a nice recording for sending out afterwards. All right, without any further ado, Ryan, if you want to take it from here.
All right, thank you, Joel, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for attending our webcast today on Paperless HR. As he said, my name is Watson. I'm a field sales engineer with Sage, and I present our Sage software solutions, and in particular, the Sage HRMS portfolio of HR products that are underneath it. Before we begin into the Paperless HR portion of today's presentation, I'd like to just start with a few items on Sage, who we are here at Sage and what we do. Sage itself is a market leader in integrated accounting, human resource, payroll, systems, supporting the ambition of world companies. The point that I really want to make here is that Sage has the solutions for here, and as a Sage employee as well as our partners, we're all passionate about helping organizations achieve their goals and being successful. So as we go through this, the first thought in your mind is, how does human resource management software contribute to the success of an organization? So before we can really look into human resource, we need to answer this question of what makes an organization. So if we were to look around and look and compare companies that from the outside are pretty similar with the same kind of products, targeting the same market segment, the same services, you notice a large difference in business results. So why is it that some companies are thriving while others are suffering to even stay in business? What is the difference between a company and a great company? So the only way that we can truly answer these questions is to dive into what makes an organization. Luckily, we don't have to really look that far. The answer is quite simple. It's their people. The people that make up a company are that company's unique biggest assets. If we were to ask any CEO, this is most likely what they'll do. And we really see this in the dynamic shift from companies that are used to be customer first centric, they're refocusing themselves to be focusing on their internal employees. For most companies, their employees are their largest expense, or as I like to put it, their largest investments. So if we were to think about this, after all, an investment is a cost that creates future value, pays out over time. In other words, an investment in the workforce should employees achieve their full potential. Now, not necessarily immediately, but with a worthwhile payout over time. After we all know, every investment needs that healthy return on investment. But rather than thinking in terms of ROI that we've all gone through years of school, years of working in business that we've all been programmed to think of, we here at Sage, we need to really challenge you to forget the term ROI and move into the return on employee investment, like what we call here at Sage. As after all, a company itself is only as good as its employees. We're used to talking about a company as if the organization itself is a person. But an organization does not have ideas, nor does it give service. But an organization itself is efficient, nor is it productive. the people that make the organization do are. So how we treat our employees, how we invest in our employees, has a huge influence on the bottom line. In many cases, investing in and managing human capital has a larger effect than investing in marketing or R&D. So in short, this is all about attracting and maintaining the right talent. So as we start to look at human capital management solutions, why should we care? As we discussed so far, your employees, they make a difference. So therefore, how we manage our employees, this makes a difference. And as we've explored previously in our previous webcasts, paper-based HR, Excel spreadsheets typically do it. There's no reporting, there's a lack of security, they can be unreliable, they can be inaccurate, there's no point of truth. So when we look into solutions like HRMS, which is a comprehensive and modular solution that's designed to attract, retain, develop, motivate, engage, and manage your entire workforce, we see how we're solving those issues. Sage HRMS is a solution that's customizable and enables you to decisively meet and respond to your HR management challenges. So what this means is that being that Sage HRMS itself is a modular solution, you get exactly what you need and what you want in order to meet those challenges without having to purchase the additional modules. So when we look at other solutions out on the market where you're required to purchase 100% of the system, even though you may only utilize 25% that you need to meet those challenges, with Sage HRMS, we sit down with you and we position and find out your pain points, what your business needs are, what you're looking for in an HR system, so that when you implement the solution, you're only required to use the 25% you need and that you want, but you're going to utilize it to 100% of its capabilities. Now, Sage HRMS can be expanded with integrated payroll, benefits, recruiting and onboarding, employee self-service capabilities, risk mitigation, compliance, time and attendance management solutions, as well as analytical capabilities. So with Sage HRMS, you're able to maximize every dollar that you invest in your employees. Now, in previous webcasts, we've gone over considerable of this information. We've covered the core HR features, including benefit information, mitigation, compliance capabilities. We've also discussed analytical capabilities through reporting. We've also had a separate webcast that was dedicated specifically to time and attendance management systems. For today's webcast, we're really going to be focusing on that paperless HR, both the employee self-service as well as HR Actions, where we can take your paper forms that you do today and make them electronic and put them online. So with HR Actions, we're supporting your everyday forms, whether it's pre-employment or onboarding, employee service capabilities, manager HR service, taking your forms and putting them online to support the entire life cycle of an employee. So these are just some examples of things. So for pre-employment, requisition, hire a new employee, hire an employee. For the employee themselves, they can go in and do leave of absence requests, update their personal information, and of course, goal settings, performance appraisal, so self-comments and self-scoring or rating. And as a manager, we have a lot more capability of this information, or requesting an employee be transferred to another department or another job, a promotion of that employee, request a pay change, as well as a lot of things on behalf of the employee. So unfortunately, incidents do happen, so we can fill out an occupational health and safety incident form, or we can request or approve a leave of absence request on behalf of the employee, retirement or termination capabilities of forms, as well as goal setting for that applicant and performance, so manager scoring, manager comments. And we also have that custom details in there. So with Sage HRMS, we have the ability of adding user-defined fields, as well as creating completely custom pages. with HR Actions, we have the capability of using those fields. So regardless if it's a Sage field or a custom field, we have the ability of using those within the employee service and HR Actions. So not only are we supporting your everyday forms here, but we're also streamlining your HR procedures. By delivering HR Actions on the web, we're building efficiencies as well as consistencies for your employees, as well as increasing the productivity for your HR team. And we're doing this by simplifying the completion of forms for the users, giving them a singular place to go to access to all forms, in a consistent workflow that's based off of your business rules. So we can eliminate that opportunity sneaky employee that has found a workaround to get approved in his favor. And we're building all these efficiencies based off your rules. So if things need to be rerouted based on a role or based off of request, the system can do that. We're also increasing productivity by pushing the point of entry downstream to either the employee or the manager. So by HR receives information, all they're doing is approving it, and it's going to update the system. We're not going to have to manually enter data. And of course, throughout the entire process of forms being completed and approved, we have insight into where those forms are. We have controllability over where the forms are going. So if a form is sitting waiting for a manager to approve it and they're taking their time, we have the ability to go in there and push that to the next step. So in short, all of this is about eliminating paper and the stacks of paper that can show up. So here's just a few examples of paper forms that we have, things such as onboarding forms, handbook acknowledgments, performance evaluations, occupational health and safety incident forms, as well as pay changes, job changes, and we'll actually see these more in depth when we're looking at the live presentation itself. So there's a lot of information that we've gone through thus far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch into my presentation environment so we can actually dive into the forms in the employee self-service itself. So the first thing here is I'm going to log into the employee self-service. You can utilize any browser, whether it's Internet Explorer, Google Chrome as I'm using, Firefox, Safari, whatever we're utilizing, they'll be able to have access as long as connected to the internet. Now the employee self-service portal is configured to your company, your logo up top, your welcome message, so it can be completely configured to your needs. As we log in, have everything under the sun turned on, but you'll have the capability of editing what employees have access to, what they can see, what they can update, what they don't have access to. You have full control over that. And before we get too far in this, I'm logged under a U.S. employee. However, there are going to be some terminology changes. The reason why I'm logged under a U.S. employee is to show you the manager as well as administrative capabilities. So things such as social security number in the U.S. is changed for Canada to be the SIN, as well as address information, so state and zip code. U.S. will be province and postal code, and there's several other examples, OSHA, OHS, we'll see as we go through. So before we get too far into this, as an administrator, as I was saying, we have full capabilities. So we have the ability of adjusting what an employee has access or no access to. If they do have access, is it view only? Is it updatable? As well, does it go through notification or procedure prior to updating HRMS? If it requires approval, what role is approving these requests? Who is notified of these requests? And we're not just limiting or enabling employees to have access, we're also doing this on the manager's behalf as well. So what does the manager have access to? Is it view only? Does it have the ability to update information? So as we go through what an employee has access to, they can have access to their personal information, their address. If they're able to make changes to it, they'll see the edit button in the top right corner. They can click that edit, make those adjustments, and they'll see if this requires any approval prior to submitting the form. Once they've submitted something that needs to be approved, their manager or HR or payroll, they'll get a notification inside their notification center, which can also trigger out an email letting them know that there's something that needs to be approved. So if we look at something such as an address change, they have full capabilities of seeing what the address change is, the and the new information, as well as right from the notification center, approving or rejecting. They can also add in notes if need be. As an employee, they'll also have an ability of changing their contact information, benefit or dependents and beneficiary information, emergency contact information, education, skills, events, whatever you would like your employees to have access to. Another thing, if we're not utilizing a time and attendance system, we can also put in off requests inside of employee self-service. However, if we are looking at using employees or a time and attendance system, this is always going to be best served to be inside of the TNA. Some of the other items inside of the employee self-service that an employee has access to, things such as current benefit information or their compensation history. Everything had since the beginning of the employee's information inside of our company. Their job history, every role that they've had with the organization, performance information, as well, if we're using Sage 300 Payroll, HRMS Payroll, we can load their pay stubs directly to their employee self-service so that the employee doesn't come to payroll or to HR to have reprints created if they're applying for a loan or mortgage. They can come right onto their employee self-service, select the last few pay stubs, download them, print them, do whatever they need to. They'll have access directly to them. Now, as we shift onto what a manager has access to, there's still a considerable amount of information. Of course, if the employee is requesting time off, the manager will have a time off calendar, so they'll be able to see any employees that are pending, that have been approved. They can dive into individual employees and view their information, or they can search for all approvals that are pending. They'll also have abilities to view their employee information, so each of these tabs have different portions of what the employee's file is. So as I look at the employee's compensation, I have their most current information up front, or I can dive into the history of that employee. And then I can quickly switch between under that same tab. View their job information, their most current job up front, or I can dive into that employee and view all of their job history within the organization, their performance information, emergency contacts, phone, location, again, whatever you want to allow managers to have access to. As well, the manager has the ability of access to the employee file. So the manager can log in, select the employee, their current that they've already placed in there, edit them, be set follow-up dates, as well as different types of notes that the employee is allowed to, or the manager is allowed to enter. And these are all configured to your needs. Now, all of our notes are also authored by a role, so if a manager comes in and creates a note inside of HRMS, it's going to show up as a manager note. At the same time, if HR to go in and type in a note, it'll be by HR. So if we ever have an employee-manager conflict, it's going to show up inside of HRMS as a HR note. And since our system is secure in the ability to allow employees or deny employees the ability to see things, any HR note wouldn't show up in the manager's capability of viewing it. So we eliminate any issues of an employee-manager conflict leading to retaliation of an employee by the manager. Some of the other things that the manager has the capability of viewing events on the employee file, their length of service, anniversary dates, so we can be proactive about congratulating employees on their anniversaries, as well as the ability of setting temporary approvers. So managers are people as well. They take time off. They need leave of absence, whether it's a newborn that they're taking time away to be with. And those will still need to be completed while they're away. So we're able to come in and search for other employees, whether they're managers or direct reports, to submit and have all of my requests for approvals be rerouted to that other employee. The next time I log into the system, it's automatically going to pop up letting me know that there is a temporary approver, and I can select to remove them or leave them on. If I'm logging in just to access something real quick and getting out, I have that ability. Now, as we continue on, there's a lot of information that we can allow your employees to have access to. With employee service, it's completely up to your of adding additional items. So if there's websites that you would like to have your employees go to, such as trying to think right on the top of my head, but if there's additional websites or different files that you want to load into, you can actually attach them directly to a link that when the employee clicks on it, it brings them to the website, or it allows them to download a file. So this is all completely configured to your needs. As well, there's other solutions that we have inside of HRMS that can be single sign-on. So previously we looked at time and attendance. The employee can log in directly to the attendance from the self-service without having to type in a password again. Same thing for training capabilities, recruiting and onboarding capabilities that can be signed on within the self-service. So now we're going to switch from looking at employee self-service as a whole and dive into the forms themselves. And there's quite a bit of things that we can do with forms as well as organizing them. So the first thing I'm going to look into is we'll call here make forms checklist. What this is it will organize requests for the employee based off of their role, based off of dates, to really ease the ability of the employee of viewing forms and completing forms. So the examples that I have here is very simple examples of onboarding and annual performance reviews, but they can be as robust as needed for you. So things such as a review 90 days after the employee is hired, they've completed their probation period, and we need a review before the rest of the year. Have the system populate a form for probationary review 90 days into the employee's employment. As well, we hire a brand new employee. It sees that they're a new employee. It fills out onboarding forms, the forms that we need filled out. The forms that I have loaded up here are just a few examples, things such as onboarding employee data confirmation. So now that we've hired the employee, we can start asking for additional information. Verify that their current address, maybe they've relocated to be closer to the office. We can now get their new information if they did, as well as emergency contact information. We didn't previously have the emergency contact information. We can gather this. Education, previous employers, whatever you need these forms to be filled out like, you can create completely custom forms. So I'm just showing you templates that you have inside of HR Actions. However, if you use these, perfect. If you want to edit these, you're more than welcome to edit them. Or you can create forms completely from the ground up. So this is just an example of employee confirmation information, as well as like employee handbook acknowledgement. We load the employee handbook directly to the form. The employee downloads it, reads it, and they signs that they're confirming that they agree with the terms of employment. We submit these, and then it goes off to your workflow. So something as simple as employee handbook acknowledgement, acknowledge it, maybe it just goes off to HR, HR approves it, and it's done. Things such as employee verification of information, now that it has actually context, maybe we want to have this notify the manager, but also go to HR to be approved. It can be completed in that route. So the workflow is based off of your needs. Some of the other capabilities, I've heard other companies using things such as non-compete forms being placed here, or non-disclosure agreements being placed in here. So there's a lot of different forms that we can place online. It's all dependent on your onboarding packet, so that novel that you give all of your employees. Whatever you would like to have as paperless forms, we can place on HR Actions and load up right as the employee starts with your company. And then moving on to the next one, just annual performance reviews. We can allow your employees to set up goals, so they come in, put in their goals for themselves. This to the manager can edit them, have it either go straight to HR for approval or maybe go back to the employee. Employee verifies and accepts them and then goes to HR for approval. Also do complete performance evaluations. So it brings in the organization goals. And these are all completely configured to your needs. So I have a few examples: customer service goal, job knowledge, initiative and innovative, secure team of the employee, where the employee can come in, put in their comments. They get what you see is what you get editor, so exactly as it looks in this form is exactly how it moves forward. They do their self-scoring. And then it can also bring in those goals that the employee initiated prior, those self-goals. Once they're filling out all the information, they can submit the manager and then come in and place in their manager and the manager scoring. We can also have the evaluations go out to peers for peer evaluation. So there's a lot of configuration that can be done within HR Actions. Now, as we've been talking, everything I've shown so far has been completely standardized templates, so those can be configured to your needs. At any time, any of those forms that have been completed, we have complete insight onto where those forms are. So you can come right into it, view the existing forms that have been completed, download them if need be, print them out, as well as it's and time stamping when those forms were completed and at what level. So if we ever had that employee said that they didn't agree to the terms in the handbook, we can come back and view, well, Veronica, here you did accept the terms and conditions of our handbook, did it on this date and this time. And of course we can search by the particular employee, by different forms, by different types of forms. So we have full insight of being able to search for the forms also. Now, some of the other abilities here that we can do is we can send, temporary approvers. So if I am taking the time off, I can have a temporary approver. Well, as an administrator, I review any acts are pending. So if I need to, I can reroute these to other people for approval as well. But that's only for administrators. For your typical employee, they're not going to have that capability. Some of the other forms that we can automate in here can be either initiated by the employee on their own behalf or by the manager's behalf. So just as an example of forms, the employee themselves, they can request leave of absence information, they can edit things such as education, events, and the ability of all the information inside of it is completely configured to your needs, and it's all designed to also ease the ability for HR or for the person that's approving it to be able to see what's changed. So if I'm looking at something in a grid format here, whenever I make a change, it's going to automatically highlight that row that is changed. As well, the manager has the capability of diving in and making requests on the employee's behalf. So as a manager, we can work on the existing employees, do leave of absence requests or incident forms. So we can do a lot of form filling out and pushing entry data at the earliest stage as possible. So the employee can come in here, or the manager can come in and type out all the information about the incident, dates, times, where the incident happened, what was the employee doing, what happened to the employee, as well as any treatment information. So we can fill out all this information that can then update HRMS and therefore automate your capability of creating your WSIB 7 forms. Some of the other capabilities in here on the employee or on the manager side, is requesting promotions on employees' behalf or transfer of employment, termination. They're all examples. The one that I really want to show here is a request for a pay change. So as a manager, I can come in, select an employee, select that I want to change their job or pay, and then make those changes. As I was talking about earlier, it's all built off your rules. So for this example, if I send off a request that's less than 3% of a pay increase, goes off to HR, HR approves it, everything is. If I send off something that's above 3%, maybe HR no longer the approver of this, maybe it now goes to the CFO of the company for approval. So if we do have an issue where an employee may have miscalculated something or done something wrong, or maybe they're wanting to give them a lottery-winning pay raise. Whenever I initiate this draft, it's going to take it off of HR and send it directly to the CFO of the company. So there's a lot of smart calculations that this can do as well. Now, as I've said repeatedly in here, all the forms that we've gone through and that we've looked at, these are all standardized templates that I've looked at, so they're all completely configurable. You're more than welcome to use the standardized templates. If you wanted to customize the template, maybe they have 9 out of 10 items, you want to add something or remove something, you have that capability. Or you can dive into and create these forms completely from the go. So there's proprietary forms that you have for your company. They can be configured and created inside of HR Actions to put them online. So that's a lot of information that we've gone through today. I'm going to turn it back over to Joel to really close it out, as well as start up the Q&A session. So Joel, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, Ryan, that was perfect. Thank you very much. That was really informative. So like Ryan said, I've unmuted all the lines. So if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead. All right, I don't think anybody has any questions. So with that, Ryan, I'm going to wrap it up, and we'll have the recording that we're going to send out to everybody that attended. Happy to see that everybody who registered attended, and have a great day. All right, thanks again, Ryan.
Thank you.